God's word says, therefore remember that you once were Gentiles in the flesh. And at that time you were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, and without God in the world. But now in Christ Jesus, you who were once far away have been brought near by the blood of Christ. We'll explore that a little bit more next week, but I wanted to read it to you today as an introduction to a very special day for us that God has blessed us, and He is moving in our hearts and our lives. And we have been waiting on God. We have been patient. We have not rushed into anything. And through that, we have seen God's hand move. I didn't come here because you had a resume and were chasing me around initially. But I came here because the heart of God spoke into my heart and He spoke into your heart. And for good or bad, it is what it is. But God moved. We didn't chase Eddie down the road someplace. Eddie came walking in the door. I had no idea what he was getting ready to get into. Neither did we. God bless you. He's right. There were many things that needed to be done that didn't appear that we were able to do them. And I remind you of these things because once we were alienated from Christ, what I'm trying to get us to understand this morning is that through the blood of Christ, we have the promises and we have the blessings of God upon us. That the barriers have been removed. There's nothing standing in the way. And so we can trust this God who calls us, and we can rely upon a God who is always faithful. And our part in that is just to continue to trust Him, not lean on our own understanding, but in every way acknowledge Him, submit to Him, that He may direct our paths. And we continue to strive to do that, and God continues to do that. And He has done that in many ways. And we are blessed and thankful for that. And I said all that to say this, in our patience, and we have been patient, you have been patient, and I thank you for that. Many times you've asked me that question. Preacher, we need a youth minister. Pastor, we need somebody to work with our youth. And it has been very difficult in waiting on that. But through that, we haven't gone out and made something happen. But God has produced something. And we have a young couple here, and they're going to share in just a few moments with you, with us. I'll get that in a minute. About a little bit. Aren't you glad you waited? But God is moving in this. We believe that. In a few moments, after they share, we're going to give you an opportunity to affirm them by a vote. And with the great expectation that God will continue to move in our hearts and our lives, and God will continue to use each one of us. But God is going to rain down on these young folks, and He's going to bless them, and He's going to use them in ways we can't even imagine to affect the life of Double Springs Baptist Church. In a sense, they'll be kind of starting from scratch. They're going to need a lot of prayers. They're going to need a lot of encouragement. And but I make this pledge to you guys that anything short of a word of encouragement, you can ignore it and come to me. And I will deal with any other thing that you have. We're going to love you guys. And our expectation is that they're not just going to bless us, but we're going to bless them. And we're going to take care of you guys. Next week, Will is graduating, and the next day, this young lady, I hope she's praying about this, but she's going to marry him the next day. And so, why am I telling you this? Because you married folks in here, you will be praying for them. Because they're going to start a new life together. And they're going to have to put up with each other. But then they're going to start a new life with us, and they're going to have to put up with us. So they've got a hill to climb, but it'll be a good hill. God's gracious kindness and compassion will carry you through these things. So, Will and Tori, I'm going to let y'all just come up and share as long as you need to. Okay, good. Thank you. And I've asked them to tag team. You know, guys get it wrong sometimes. She can correct it, so they can get used to that in their marriage.
Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, awesome. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much, you guys. We've been at different events the last couple of weeks with you guys, getting to know some of you, and you guys have been such a great big blessing for us, and you guys have been such an encouragement to us. So I wanted to thank you guys first of all. And I'm Will, obviously, and then this is Tori, and we want to just to begin and just share our stories and share what God has done in our lives to bring us to this point right now that our stories are intersecting at this moment. So we're going to kind of go back and forth, and we're going to talk about just early on in our life, and I'll let her talk a little bit, and then at the end, I just want to share a little bit of a glimpse what I have for the future with the youth ministry, what my hope is for going forward in this next year. So, and don't worry, we'll be brief because I know we got lunch, so I'm hoping to have you guys out of here by 3 p.m. That's good with you guys. I'm just kidding. But I was born in Brazil, in a country in South America, and my dad is actually French, my mom is Brazilian, and they met in Brazil and had us. But before I was born, my dad wasn't a really good guy going into the marriage. He had children with women like all over the world and abandoned them, and it's kind of weird because I have brothers and sisters in like France and Africa, all over the United States, and he constantly had children and just left the women and just treated them terribly going in. But I will say this, that despite that, and looking back, I was able to see God's faithfulness through it, because without my dad, obviously I wouldn't be here, but we would have never made it to the United States because my mom was a very poor woman in Brazil. So just through even these difficult circumstances, God is faithful. But we moved to the United States when I was about 6 years old, and once we were here, my dad started treating my older sister and my mom really terribly. My dad started abusing them physically, emotionally, verbally, and just treating them really terribly in just so many ways. And that was tough because guys need that affirmation from their fathers. They really need that father figure to help them grow and develop. And sadly, in the United States today, that's not there so often. And it wasn't there in my life. And I started just developing a lot of anger issues towards my dad because I was like, you're a terrible person, and just being really, just angry, being really just mad. And I'll tell you this quick story, just to talk about how God breaks into these stories and how God is just so all over this. My mom was visiting her family back in Brazil one time, and she got a phone call from a random lady, and she still doesn't know who this lady is to this day, saying that there's drugs here in this location in your house, like get them out, the cops are on their way. And my dad actually hired people to put drugs there to get my mom arrested so we would never see her again. And this random lady called her and warned her about it and got it out. And we know that that was without a doubt a God thing that saved her from being in jail in Brazil, because she would probably still be there to this day. So just God is faithful through that. But when I was in second grade, my mom was finally tired of the abuse and all this, so she had him arrested. And the last time I saw my dad was in second grade at Applebee's in Easley. And so he got arrested, and that was obviously really difficult because I was really young and I didn't know what was going on with all of that. And he posted bail and he fled the country, and now he's in Africa, and that's a whole other story and stuff. But so he's not in jail right now, he's in Tanzania, I believe. But from there, like understandably so, my mom started just developing a lot of issues because she was a single mom. She was an immigrant from Brazil to the United States. She barely knew any English, and she was learning English, trying to provide for 3 kids. So she started to drink, and she drank and developed alcoholism. And a lot of times I was mad at her, but a lot of times I didn't blame her because I was like, you're just going through so much. Like, that's just, I couldn't imagine that. And it kind of culminated until one day between 8th and 9th grade, my mom tried to kill herself in front of my brother and I, just because she was tired of my sister that day. She was in 11th grade and she got pregnant in high school, and my mom was just like, that was the breaking stone, and she was ready to just give it up. But again, through the Lord's faithfulness, thankfully she's okay. They took her to the hospital. She overdosed on pills, so they got her stomach pumped. So she was okay. And I remember in that moment, we didn't grow up in church, and I didn't grow up. I didn't do Awana or any of those programs, but I remember in that day, I was just like, God, why are you doing this? Like, God, I wasn't a bad kid. Like, I never did anything bad. I was like, why is my life so terrible, God? And I just remember in that moment, that's when God started to just do so much amazing things. I got invited to youth camp for the first time that summer, and that's whenever I surrendered my life to Christ for the first time. And I was the only one in my family, and I didn't fully understand it, but I just knew at that moment, I realized that I was a sinner and in need of a Savior. And yeah, so that's how I came to Christ. I'm going to let Tori share a little bit about her life up until that point, and then we bounce back and forth.
Hi, I'm Tori. Is my mic working?
Oh,
It's fine, I can project. I'm a theater person. My name is Tori Sheriff. Don't get too used to that last name now, because I only have like a week left with it. So I grew up in Easley, South Carolina, so pretty close to here. Born and raised there, lived in the same house pretty much all my life. Hi, is this working?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I grew up in Easley, and my family, it's hard to describe their church involvement growing up. We were involved in church, but it kind of came in cycles. We would go a few years and be really involved in church, and then I don't really even know what caused it, but we would go a few years with barely going to church at all. And so obviously growing up in that environment was hard and didn't really give me the best idea of like what a real relationship with God looked like. But during one of the cycles where we were very involved in church, I was in second grade, and I remember just being in children's church one morning, and they just very clearly laid out like the path to salvation. And kind of in that moment, I didn't fully understand everything that I wanted to understand, but at that point I realized that I was a sinner and needed a Savior, and I knew that that Savior was Jesus. So that's kind of the point in my life that I count as like my salvation moment, and like where I really asked God into my heart. And from that point on, I just had God in my heart, and through like the rest of elementary school, I was really involved in the children's ministry at our church and just serving the church in different ways through that. And then middle school came. And middle school is a very rough time. As I described the cycles that my family went through earlier, this kind of middle school hit at a time when we weren't really that involved in church. And so because of that and all of everything that comes with middle school and trying to impress people and just different things, my relationship with God just kind of like took a back seat in my life, to say the least. And nothing really ever too bad happened. I was really thankful I had one best friend that I was kind of forced into my life by God, but I'm super thankful for that. And her friendship has meant a lot to me because she did keep me from going too far off of my path with God during middle school. But all of everything in middle school kind of came to like an ending point and kind of like the lowest point. At the end of 8th grade, when I got into this relationship that was a very toxic relationship, not very glorifying to God. I hid it from my parents, which is probably the first sign that it's not good. If you have to hide something from your parents, don't ever do that, kids. And anyway, just towards the end of the summer between 8th and 9th grade, I ended up telling my parents about it, and it was just this big wake-up moment. I ended up breaking up with a guy, and so thankful that happened. And then after that, my parents were definitely getting me back in church, and just through that, and at the same time that all of that was happening, our church that we went to before was actually planting a new church that was closer to our house. So I was able to like be involved in that church plant. And also I was starting high school and got involved in a lot of school organizations like FCA and just different things like that. A Bible study that some of our friends started. And just through a lot of those things, I was really able to start understanding what it really meant to have a relationship with God and to truly pursue Him in all that I do. So that was kind of where I started to fully understand what the relationship aspect of Christianity. And so I kind of went through freshman year doing that. And then at the beginning of my sophomore year of high school is when I met Will. And that's kind of where he stopped off earlier, so I'll let him continue with the rest of the story.
That was the best day of her life. No, but that was in the beginning of junior year when I met Tori, and just going through high school. Obviously, high school has its own sets of difficulties, and I was learning what the gospel was because I didn't have any experience in church, so I didn't really know much about the Bible, what it was, and I had a really good church, and I was learning and I was growing. I had really good teachers, and one of the biggest moments that in high school that I can remember that really made an impact on me was between sophomore and junior year. So before I met Tori, God was convicting me because I still hated my dad at that point, and I still hated him with everything I had, and I thought he was a terrible person, and I didn't want anything to do with him. He still tried to contact us through email because for some reason out of all the kids he had, my family's kids was his favorite one. So like he still tried to contact us, and during that another summer camp, ironically, God showed me that if God can forgive me for all of my sins and everything I've done, I can forgive him. And so by the grace of God, I was able to forgive my dad for what he did, and that was such a big moment in my walk with Christ and just my life. And just from there, junior year, I met Tori, and Tori has been such a really big blessing during our time. We've been dating now for like 5.5 years, and she's really been able to help me just work through a lot of issues I've had, just spiritually and just emotionally through everything I've been through growing up. And she's kept me humble, and she's just been such a great just partner to walk through this journey with from high school. But continuing on, near the end of the 11th grade, God was doing something else in my life, and He was showing me that like He didn't bring me to the United States, to Easley, South Carolina for no reason. Like He was calling me to some sort of ministry, and which was really exciting. And I was like, okay, cool, like this is exciting. But from there, I kind of got prideful about it because I was like, oh, ministry, I'm a big shot around. I like walked around school with my head high, like I'm in ministry. But then God quickly humbled me and reminded me that, yeah, I'm called to ministry, but my mom, my sister, my brother, if they die today, they would go to hell and separate eternity away from God. And I haven't even ministered to the people right around me, and I thought I'm called to ministry. But just, and I'll save you time, but through God's faithfulness, from junior year to freshman year of college, those 2 years, I was able to lead my mom, sister, and brother to Christ. And that is just the greatest feeling knowing that we'd be able to spend eternity with them, and just how faithful God is to our family when we started from nothing, started from absolutely nothing, the lowest of the lows. And I entered North Greenville. I didn't even know where, I was telling some people last night, I didn't even know what North Greenville was until senior year of college. And towards the campus, it's such a beautiful campus, such a Christ-centered education. And I came in as a Christian studies major because I was like, ministry, Christian studies, works well together. And it's been an absolutely amazing program. But sophomore year, God was putting a passion for me for Hispanic populations and missions. I went to Nicaragua, and I absolutely loved it. And He, just through His faithfulness, He allowed me to be able to get a Spanish degree as well as a Christian studies degree. So Saturday I'll be graduating with both, and I'm hoping, Lord willing, with that I'll be able to teach alongside youth ministry roles, because the schools are such a great battleground for the youth these days. I mean, there's so many temptations, there's so many issues going on, and even though I won't be able to verbally say the gospel in public school, I'll be able to live it out for them and just hopefully point them to the cross without being able to say it verbally there. And because youth don't have to come to church necessarily, but they all will come through school, and that's just such a great mission field right there. So I'm really excited to see how that'll work out. But I'll let you finish, and then we'll combine it together. So just from there.
Okay. So I left off where I met Will, and just through our relationship, God has really shown me a lot over the past 5.5 years. God just really encouraged my faith through Will and really shown me a lot of Himself through Will. So I'm definitely really thankful for that. So I met him sophomore year of high school. We kept dating, kept pursuing the Lord. Another kind of big moment for me in my spiritual journey was my junior year of high school when I actually started going to a new church because my friends had been inviting me and just bugging me about it. So eventually I went to this new church, and in my one Sunday there, my life was totally changed, and God opened my eyes to what true biblical community really looks like. And I was able to join a life group and just be really involved and learn what it was like to just really do life with other believers. And that was a really good point in my life for that to come towards the end of high school. Just a lot of growth happened at that point, and obviously there are a lot of decisions and things happening at that time, so that was just a really good time for all of that to happen. So after high school, I went to North Greenville, and I originally started as an education major. I think by the time I actually started at North Greenville, I was a secondary English education major. But in the year leading up to that, I think I had also wanted to be in early childhood, and then at one point elementary ed. And basically I wanted to be a teacher because I liked kids and I babysit a lot. I'm good with kids and I like teaching. I'm comfortable doing it, so I just assumed that that was God's plan for me, and it just made sense. But also towards the end of high school, God started developing this love for theater in me. But I didn't really want to pursue that in college because, quite honestly, I was scared and I didn't know what kind of job I was going to get as a theater major. But through my first couple weeks in college, God made it very clear that I needed to switch my major because ultimately my reason for not already being a theater major was just a lack of faith in Him. And so through that, over the past 3 years, I've been a part of a ministry team called Act 2. If any of you are familiar with Joyful Sound at North Greenville, we're kind of like the theater version of them, just like a drama ministry team that travels to different churches every Sunday. Last Sunday was actually my last Sunday with Act 2, so it's been really awesome to just see God's plan through all of that and His work through that, and just the community that He's given me with the members of that team, and just the unique way that we've been able to minister to churches all across North and South Carolina. So I'm really thankful for that and all the other faithfulness that God has shown me throughout all of my college years. And that's kind of brought me to this point, where we are now.
Absolutely. And and this next week is obviously going to be a very busy, hectic, stressful, but a really awesome week. I finished my exams on Tuesday. We'll have our rehearsal dinner on Friday. We'll have graduation on Saturday, and we'll get married on Sunday, and we'll leave for our honeymoon next Monday. So not much going on. And we're really excited for how the Lord's brought us together and how He's just fitting all the pieces together. We just see His faithfulness so much, and I just want to talk a little bit about if the Lord leads us together with this church. We're really excited about it. The thing with youth ministry for us is the two biggest things about youth ministry is one, obviously reaching the lost, because today, and you guys know this, turn on the news for 5 minutes, it's such a broken world, and it seems like every day just more and more problems keep coming, and the people under the age of 18 are facing all these sorts of pressures that you guys probably never faced, or it looked a lot different when you guys were high schoolers. So the biggest thing is be able to live out the gospel and share the gospel with as many different people as we can, as many different youth as we can, so they can come into a relationship with them. But also at the same point, we want to make disciples who make disciples who make disciples who make disciples. And what we mean by that is we obviously want anybody we contact with, youth, adult, whoever it is, to become disciples, radical followers of Jesus Christ. But at the same point, we want to train them and build them up to where they can do the same thing, and that they can make disciples with their friends or their families. Honestly, the biggest way to reach families is through their youth, I believe. If you can get their youth to church, if the family's not church, I really believe the family will come. And my goal is for let's say a 6th or 7th grader, that in 7 years after being through a youth ministry, that in college they wouldn't just be in a Bible study, that they would lead a Bible study, and that they would be leaders. And that's what our hope is for the youth of here, and is any other youth that we come in contact with. And that's what our hope and goal is. And we really are excited about it, and we're excited that we will be able to get to do it with you guys. And just so you guys know, like, I hope that you guys will be a part of it. It doesn't matter your age, or if you think, oh, I'm too old to be a part of it. No, youth need adults. Youth need biblical adults that can pour into their lives. That's one of the biggest lies we hear a lot of times, that, oh, I'm too old to be relevant for youth. No, the youth need biblical men and women to show them what does it mean to live out the gospel and to be just a biblical follower of Christ. So that's our hope with this, and that we're excited to see what it'll look like and to just be part of this journey with you guys, however long it may be, if it's 20, 40, 50 years, or 1 year or 2, however long it is. We just want to be obedient to God and faithful to God with whatever He has in store. So thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate being able to share with you guys a little bit. So.
And Johnny, would you do me a favor and take Tori and Will back to your prayer room on the side right here? Would you follow? And I thought it was important that you would hear that, because we look at young people today and we think there's a lot of shallowness there, possibly, not a lot of maturity. Well, what you just heard was maturity. And if we're going to bring somebody in here to lead our youth, we want them to have maturity. We want them to be grounded in their faith. And we want them not only that, but they can share that faith, and they can come alongside and help grow that faith in other people's lives. And I think that's what you just heard with both of these young folks. And so we're excited about that. So what we're going to do now, the message is done, okay? What we're going to do now is we're going to vote for these young people, and then we're going to bring them back in, and based on that vote, I know you're going to do the right thing, then we will receive them into the membership of the church. So we got 2 votes to go. Just hang on just a second, and we're going to go through this process, okay? We're not going to do this by ballot, or we're going to do it by a show of hands. If you're in favor of calling Will as our youth minister, and you get Tori extra, would you please signify by raising your right hand? Any opposed, left hand? Thank you. Unanimous. God bless you one and all. Ricky, would you do me a favor and see if you can retrieve, it should be in the room on the right. Now what I want you to do is give them a very double springs warm welcome when they come through the doors. You on your ministry here in the future, and we pledge our blessing upon you and our hearts to you and our